Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and this is going to be a brief little discussion video on Psychopaths, episode 11. Pretty stunning episode, I have to say. We're pretty much picking up right where we left off. Kagami is still caught between the crosshairs of Makishima and the sort of elder henchman that is Senguji, the cyborg carrying around the double-barrel shotgun, in this underground, almost Hunger Games-esque thing that's unfolding. And you have the rest of the enforcers, Tomome, Akane, Ginoza, all of them. They've split up into two groups. Akane and Tomome are actually going straight for Kagami, trying to find him, whereas the other three, led by Ginoza, are essentially trying to hunt down the device that's blocking their communications. And so we see that, Makishima really has his eyes fixated on Kagami, and Senguji is not going to let everything falter once they take out this communication blocking device. He wants to go for gold. He wants to claim Kagami's life, even though Makishima kind of warns him and scolds him a little bit that if he pursues this, he's on his own. He's got to deal with the consequences. They are putting Kagami to the test, and boy, this guy excels. He's taking out those robotic or cybernetic dogs, whatever they are. He took out one in the last episode, took out the other one in this one. And even after being shot at pretty close range by a shotgun, he's still maneuvering enough to be able to take out Senguji. I mean, when that moment happened, I was stunned because, number one, I didn't expect Kagami to get so mortally wounded, and I'm sure he will survive. But essentially, I just was stunned that he was still so on his game. He got Senguji right where he needed to be to take him out. Now, in this process, he's losing blood. He basically passes out, and unfortunately, Yuki, the friend of Akane, ends up being kidnapped by Makishima. Now, there is this brief moment where you see Makishima looking down at Kagami, and it's the closest they've ever been at this point. So it's like, boom, now we are really getting into the juice of this story, which basically then explodes because once Tomome and Akane catch up to Kagami, who's laying sort of half passed out on the floor, bleeding to death, he whispers to Akane, he's got your friend. And boom, she just takes off running. Now, I'm recollecting all of those things that Ginoza has said about her witnessing something terrifying or horrible, potentially threatening her psychopaths, making her criminal coefficient raise, and having her potentially live out the same kind of life that Kagami has, being reduced from an actual inspector to an enforcer, and having that sort of stigma for the rest of her life is really at risk in this moment as she goes running off, leaving Tomome to basically patch up Kagami, who's lying on this floor, can't really get up by himself. And once we get to that moment where Akane catches up to Makishima and Yuki, it just gets that much more astounding because she pulls out the Dominator and points it at them, and for a brief second you see Makishima maneuver behind Yuki so that the crime coefficient doesn't seem to be high enough to warrant not only lethal force but even stunning force. The weapon locks down. And this only gets even more and more frustrating because as he walks out from behind her and Akane points it at him again, his criminal coefficient is going lower and lower and lower, even though he's about to murder her friend right in front of her. And of course, he very sportingly, just because of the game of the thing as he sees it, tosses that shotgun that he got off Senguji's dead body down at Akane and says, "Shoot me. Go ahead. I want to put you to the test the way I was doing with Kagami. Let's see if you'll raise yourself to that level you need to be." And this is, again, calling back all of those thoughts about how Akane is running so closely the risk of just losing herself to this and her crime coefficient raising and going off the charts. They've said in the last couple episodes it's very intriguing how she is still somewhat pure of mind, whereas compared to the rest of the enforcers and such, they very easily have sort of fallen into this lot in life where their criminal coefficients are permanently raised, yet Akane has a more hopeful sense, and she hasn't been touched by something this drastic and in need of potentially going over that line. And here we have it. She picks up that shotgun. She doesn't want to use it. In fact, when she finally does, she just sort of points it without watching to see where it's shooting. She doesn't hit her mark. Her friend dies in front of her. And it's left her weak. It's left her broken. And I have to wonder what could happen on the heels of this in later episodes. But again, it also falls back on that whole relationship that's unfolding between Kagami and she, because once everything is said and done and they're back outside and the ambulances are all there and they're getting ready to take Kagami away, he asks where she is. And of course, Tomome sort of rolls the bed over or whatever to her, and she's breaking down. She's trying not to lose herself. And essentially she explains, I saw this man. I saw him and he got away. And it's like, what next? What are we going to do next? And so that's my question too. We see that last shot of Makishima looking up, just satisfied with the whole situation, like he won the day, as the snow is coming down or whatever it is. And I'm just astounded and excited. We saw the good guys take a pretty heavy blow this time out, which can only tell me for them to lose at this point in the game, when they come back, they're going to come back explosively. And I can't wait to see that unfold. Because, of course, if we really think about, what Makishima's doing this all for, once again, it touches base on a lot of what I've had discussed in some of my previous reviews, where it's all about society. He's looking at society as this grand failure because they have that Sybil system. They have that sort of AI that is dictating the way people live out their lives, and it's really not taking into consideration the will. It's taking in the psychological, but it's not taking in the human will to survive and the will to go in any direction it sees fit. People are basically sort of lemmings to the hunt, if you will, in the way that they're living their lives. They think they're exercising their free will when they throw their ketchup packet away, but they're still working at the job that has been outlined for them. And Makishima's whole sort of, the stemming of this process that he's doing, that he's carrying out, pushing people who can potentially become murderers, making them take those steps over that edge, is his way of saying, I don't like the way this society is. Why is no one up in arms about it? And all of this stuff. It's like his sort of skewed way of commenting against it, And that's just very intriguing because, of course, he thinks, as all great villains do, that he's doing something for the greater good. But you do still also get the sense that he is getting sick pleasure from what he's doing as well. So there is no argument to say that this guy is definitely psycho. I mean, he is the psycho in the title, Psycho Pass, as far as I'm concerned. And it's that much more exciting because when are they going to catch up to him again? Is this going to follow on in the next episode and they're going to be right on his trail, or are they going to have to get back to some other cases before they can find him and hunt him down once again? I'm sure he's going to disappear for a little while, and we'll probably see some other cases. Maybe we'll see some of the other enforcers, Yayoi, Kagari, Shina, and Tomomi. Maybe we'll see them sort of come into the light a little bit more. I don't know, but it just has me on the edge of my seat. And of course, I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below what you thought of this episode, what you're thinking of the series so far. Are you ramped up, excited the way I am, especially after this? Because, it can only get bigger and bolder from this point on as far as I'm concerned. And that's a lot because this series has just been stellar up to this point. So I'd love to hear from you in the comments below, of course. And otherwise, it's going to be pretty much it for me on this one. So I hope this video finds you well, and I'll catch you all later. Peace.